UFC Freedom 250 is coming up next week, and I have a lot of thoughts on the matchups that are going to take place during this card. So, obviously, it's a very strange card. My last video was concerned about how this is even going to go down and the effects of an outdoor fight and the weather on what's going to happen here. But, regardless of that, we have some pretty interesting matchups here on UFC Freedom 250. A historic card, one for the history books. Nothing like this will ever happen again. But there's some interesting matchups here. Although, as interesting as they are, I think we know who's going to win most of them. I think that the favorites are going to sweep this card. But we're going to go through each of these fights one by one, talk about the matchup, and talk about why I think the favorites are going to win. I'm going to start at the very start of the card, which is Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Crazy matchup in the featherweight division for the first fight of the card. Diego Lopez opening up a card is a crazy thing since his fights with Volk and everything he's done with the division, while Steve Garcia has still really yet to prove himself on a big stage. I do think this is too big a jump for Steve Garcia. I think Diego Lopez is the favorite. I'm fairly certain he is. Steve Garcia is good. Don't get me wrong. Steve Garcia is very good. But who's his best win? David Onama? You know? Is this what we're dealing with Steve Garcia? Not exactly the highest level of competition. He looks awesome in his fights. He's a fun scrapper. He's a very entertaining fighter. But with Steve Garcia, his big thing is his knockouts, right? That's what he's famous for right now. You gonna knock out Diego Lopez? I just don't know, man. Dude's chin's made of metal. Diego Lopez has had a lot tougher competition. He's beat Gene Silva. That's a crazy win. Had two very competitive fights with Volk. He beat he lost to Movsar Evloev, but in a very, very close match. He beat Brian Ortega. I know Ortega is Ortega. I don't know, man. I think this is a little bit too much for Steve Garcia early on. I think Diego Lopez is a very dangerous force here. I think he's going to show Steve Garcia some levels to the game. I think this will be an incredibly entertaining way to start the card. I think these two will definitely put on a show that will really get the fans excited and will create something interesting here. The only thing I could see there being a potential interesting situation here is Steve Garcia is about the size of Diego Lopez, which is interesting. Usually Diego Lopez is fighting people shorter than him in your Gene Silvas and your Volks. So it'll be interesting to see him fight a guy similar size, longer reach for Steve Garcia. It'll be interesting to see how Diego Lopez deals with a guy the size of Steve Garcia, but just based on what I've seen from these two and the levels of competition that they've faced, I think Diego Lopez has got this in the bag, man. His jiu-jitsu is so slick when he gets to it. He's dangerous on the feet. I know Steve Garcia is too, but Steve Garcia's had some absolute scraps, man. He's had some wars, where Diego's less so had wars and more so been in charge when he's on the feet or been like outpicked like he was against Volk. But rarely is Diego getting into these crazy firefights, right? He's got a lot of power. He can put you away easily, and then if that doesn't work out, he has the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu to go towards. So I'm going to go with Diego Lopez over Steve Garcia. It's a really interesting matchup, but I don't know, man. I just don't see a way that I don't see a likelihood for Steve Garcia here. Could he pull it off with a fluke KO? For sure, but do I think he's going to? I don't. So I'm going to go Diego Lopez. We're going to go with submission after a drop or after some beating up against the fence from early round 2 is my prediction. So Diego Lopez, I think, is going to win this fight. Moving on. Next fight on the card, for some reason, Bo Nickel versus Kyle Daukaus. Fucking what a weird matchup, man. Bo Nickel, I get it. I get why he's on this card. He's very astroturfed and he's very American coded, so I understand why he would want to be on this card. Coming off a pretty good win via head kick against that tough Rodolfo Villado after that last matchup. That's a big win for Bo Nickel. Rodolfo Vieira, maybe? It's a big win for Bo Nickel, right? Head kick shows he's still got it. Hasn't really had to whip out his grappling much. I think he's going to in this fight. Kyle Daukaus obviously got cut from the UFC not that long ago, and then came back and has looked very good since he came back. But Kyle Daukaus is predominantly a threat on the feet, where Bo Nickel's last several opponents, Vieira, grappler, RDR, grappler, Paul Craig, grappler, which has given Bo Nickel a chance to kind of show off his striking. I think we're going to get bread and butter Bo Nickel in this matchup. I think we're going to get classic Bo Nickel shooting for the hips real early on. I think he's going to be very aggressive on the ground. He's going to want to make a statement here. Kyle Dawkins is lucky to be here, and if he beats Bo Nickel, then that's big for Kyle Dawkins. But I think this is pretty one-sided. I think most people would agree. I don't think Bo Nickel's a slouch on the feet, although I do think Kyle Dawkins might have maybe a slight edge on the feet. But on the ground in the wrestling, it's just another level for Bo Nickel. I think he's just a whole other animal when it comes to his abilities on the ground. And I do not think that he's going to be as tentative to grapple as he was in previous matchups. And I don't really think he should be moving forward at all. That's what makes Bo Nickel Bo Nickel. So I think it would be good for Bo Nickel to lean into what makes him who he is. So I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think he's going to start off early, pressuring, going for those takedowns. I think he's going to try and get Kyle Dawkins out of there by submission. Late round one, I think Bo Nickel is gonna have his way with Kyle Dawkins, unfortunately, on the ground. Good, I hope, win for Bo Nickel. I hope it's an impressive win. He kind of puts him out of there with relative ease, and then maybe we can start looking at the actual matchups for Bo Nickel. Okay, if Bo Nickel wins this matchup, I know he just lost to RDR. RDR was a big step up, but let's give him someone at the bottom of the top 10 at middleweight, right? Let's give him a Gregory Rodriguez. Let's give him a tough fight, Bo Nickel, but one where if he wins, he can really move up and have some impressive things to say for the division. So I think this is pretty one-sided. Another favorite. I think all favorites are going to win on this card. I think Bo Nickel is going to get Kyle Dawkins out of there. Late first round submission. He's going to look vintage. He's going to look impressive in the grappling. Kyle Dawkins is going to be happy to just have been there. It's going to be a big moment for Bo Nickel, in my opinion. Moving on. Now, I don't think that this is going to be as one-sided as some people do. Hear me out. Hear me out. You look at the Benoit Saint-Denis fight for Mauricio Rufy. That's Michael Chandler's path to victory, man. Michael Chandler has some explosive grappling. He's a very explosive fighter. He's just an idiot. And that's going to be tough for him to mitigate, I'm sure, especially on the White House lawn. I think Michael Chandler is going to go for the grappling. I think Michael Chandler is going to have some success with the grappling. I actually think that Michael Chandler is going to look good in this fight. I really do. I think he's learned from his mistakes. I think he understands that this is a massive opportunity for him. I think he understands where he is in his career and that this is a big opportunity against someone in Mauricio Rufy that's not fully proven, man. That being said, I'm going to go with Mauricio Rufy by TKO. I think Michael Chandler has a shot. I think Michael Chandler has a real shot. I think he's being really underrated here. I don't even know what the odds are, but I know Michael Chandler's the underdog. I think Michael Chandler can impose some really good grappling. I think he can impose some veteran savvy against a much less experienced Mauricio Rufy, who showed holes in his last matchup against Benoit Saint-Denis. His Fiziev fight looked amazing, though. He was in that fight sick, apparently, and had some issues, so it explains why he looked a little hazy early on. But these are big lights for Rufy, man, and Rufy hasn't really been there yet, and Chandler has. So I think of most of the underdogs on this fight, I think Michael Chandler actually has a pretty decent shot at getting the upset here over Mauricio Rufy. But how do you not go with Rufy, man? I think Rufy, ultimately, I think Chandler's going to have some success in the grappling. I think everyone's going to be like, oh, hold on a minute. Don't people forget, man. Iron Michael Chandler. I think that might happen. But then I think once Rufy starts touching him with his creative striking, I think Rufy is going to do some pretty bad things to Chandler. I mean, if you're getting busted up by Paddy Pimblett, Rufy's going to bust you the fuck up. So I think Chandler will have a good first round, I think. A lot of it will be based on the grappling. And then round two, maybe into round three, Rufy's going to start connecting with some creative strikes, doing some real damage to Michael Chandler, and get him out of there. So my prediction, Mauricio Rufy is going to TKO Michael Chandler late round two, early round three, after Chandler looks good in the first round. Could Chandler potentially spring the upset here? I do think so. I think Chandler's actually a pretty live dog here, especially at the size dog he probably is. I think Rufy still has some holes that a guy as experienced as Chandler might be able to figure out, but I can't bank on that, man, especially after seeing what Rufy did to Fiziev and just knowing what kind of guy Rufy is and knowing where Chandler is in his career right now. I think there's a chance. I think it'd be a cool, fun little upset for Chandler and a great moment for him, but you got to go Rufy, man. You do got to go Rufy. So Mauricio Rufy second round KO, third round KO, late in the second, early in the third. I don't think he's gonna put Chandler out cold. I think it'll be ground and pound or like a flurry up against the fence that'll get Chandler out of there. And then fucking Chandler's done after that. If Chandler wins this fight, it's a shame because he's such an old guy, but if Chandler wins this fight, I think you should give him a cool matchup. I don't hate the McGregor fight, even if win or lose against Holloway. Well, if McGregor beats Holloway, then maybe not. But if he loses against Holloway and Chandler wins this fight, make that fight, man. Make the Chandler McGregor fight. If not, who fucking knows what to do with Chandler? If Rufy wins this fight, I mean, the sky's the limit for him. This is such a big highlight for him. He should get someone near the top 5. I think Gaethje's probably going to retire one way or another here, but, you're looking at your Gamrots, you're looking at your Patties, your Dan Hookers, your BSDs, rematch, I think there's a lot of interesting matchups for Hoofy if he beats Chandler, but don't count Chandler out in this one, man. I think Chandler's got a real chance. Moving on up the card. This is such a tough fight for Derek Lewis, man. Derek Lewis, listen, the thing about him is the thing we all know about him, right? He's got that one-hitter-quitter power. He can easily catch Hokit. And Hokit in his fight against Curtis Blades and in previous fights, man, oh man, can that chin get touched? Man, oh man, can that chin get touched from Josh Hokit? And if Derek Lewis lands a nuke on Hokit's chin, he's done. And Hokit's very hittable. I think Derek Lewis is a live dog in the same way that Chandler's a live dog, man, where it could happen. But what's really selling me on this fight for Hokit is the hand speed, man, and the lack of chin and the lack of heart these days in Derek Lewis. I think Hokit's going to go out there within the first 30 seconds of this fight and put fucking hands on Derek Lewis. I think if he connects with 2 or 3 decent shots, which Hokit will throw early on in the fight, I think Derek Lewis is going to crumble up. I think Josh Hokit, I think this fight will be over in the first round. I think it's fair to say that most people probably think that. And I think it will either be Derek Lewis lands on Josh Hokit because Josh Hokit is way too open when he's going in there and get himself slumped. Or the more realistic outcome, Josh Hokit with those long, rangy shots, even though his inch is way less than Derek Lewis, with those rangy shots and those fast hands, gets in on Derek Lewis, hits him with 2 or 3, like not that hard shots, but enough to get Derek Lewis thinking, and it's all downhill from there. So it's a really interesting matchup, man. I mean, like I said, Derek Lewis is that guy who always has the potential to do something crazy. I just don't see it here, man. I just don't see it here. I think Josh Hokit is going to put his hands on Derek Lewis early and get him out of there in the first round. Could Derek Lewis land a nuke on Josh Hokit? Maybe, but this is going to be a stand-up fight. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is definitely going to be a first-round finish. I don't see a world where this goes past the first round. Either Josh Hokit's chin explodes via a Derek Lewis right hand, or Derek Lewis gets peppered up by Josh Hokit and put away by TKO, which I think is ultimately more likely. If Hokit wins, man, world's his oyster. He's got a ton of different matchups that could be really exciting for him, especially with the heavyweight title fight later on this card. Derek Lewis is never going to be that guy. He's never going to be a top contender anymore. He's just a fun knockout monster. And the weight difference, it's interesting. Weight difference, reach difference for Derek Lewis. All Derek Lewis needs is one big, meaty shot, which he's the king of landing. So you never know with Derek Lewis, but am I going to bet that he flukes Josh Hokit? I'm not. So I'm going to go with Josh Hokit. TKO against Derek Lewis within the first 2 minutes. I think that's probably the most likely because I just know that Josh Hokit's going to go out there and put hands out there. He's going to be swinging. He's going to be throwing hands early. And if he connects on Derek Lewis, even with nothing with all that much power, I think it'll all be downhill from there. And Josh Hokit will get Derek Lewis out of there early in the first round. Awesome fight. Going to be super entertaining. I'm going Josh Hokit, another favorite on the card. Moving on to another matchup. I think this fight's going to suck. I think this fight's going to be really boring. And I'm a huge Sean O'Malley fan. I've only ever been to 2 UFC events in my life, and both were Sean O'Malley fights. First was his fight against Aljamain Sterling, and second was his rematch against Merab. I do ultimately think Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight. But I think he's going to win this fight similar to the Song Yadong fight, similar to the Marlon Vera fight, except less dominant. I don't see O'Malley getting Zahabi out of there. As good as that would be for O'Malley, I just don't see him putting Zahabi out. I think Zahabi's tough. I think he's durable. I think he's game, and he's got a lot of heart. And I think Zahabi's going to make this a tough fight for O'Malley, but not like not like a painful fight. You know what I mean? I think Zahabi's going to make this a tough, contestable point match with Sean O'Malley, where it's real close, but O'Malley edges it out. I think this is going to be very similar to the Song Yadong matchup. But you look at the reach. O'Malley's got decent reach on him. I think O'Malley's a way better striker. If O'Malley can snipe Zahabi, that would be amazing. I mean, you look at the Zahabi fight with Jose Aldo, and he was getting cleaned up there in the last round, pieced up, hit up. If O'Malley starts connecting on the chin, he could easily put Zahabi away. I just don't think that's going to happen. My prediction is this is going to be the most boring fight on the card, believe it or not. I think Sean O'Malley is ultimately going to win by a close decision against Amin Zahabi. I think it'll be a close back and forth fight once Sean O'Malley does not get the KO shot on Zahabi. I think they'll both have their moments, but Sean O'Malley will ultimately doing a little bit more work. I don't think this is going to be a huge breakout moment for Sean unless he gets that KO. I think if Zahabi wins this fight, in impressive fashion, which I don't think it's going to be. If either one of these guys squeaks out this fight in kind of a lackluster, boring decision, which is unfortunately kind of what I think is going to happen, I don't think it does much for him, man. I mean, obviously it'll get Zahabi in the top 3 or whatever, a fight away from a title shot. But it's a pretty stacked division at the moment. You got Umar fighting, but what's his name? You know the guy, David Martinez, that guy. If Umar beats him, he's getting a title shot. Merab's right there for a title shot. I mean, Zahabi's not going to be a hot contender for a title shot, especially if it's a boring decision over O'Malley. If Zahabi fucking knocks O'Malley out cold, now we're talking, but I don't really see that happening. Meanwhile, for Sean, if he gets kind of a boring decision over Zahabi, it puts him in a decent position, and that's what I ultimately think is going to happen, that O'Malley is going to outwork Zahabi and beat him by a pretty close decision. But if O'Malley has a highlight reel KO on the White House over Amin Zahabi, he's next for the title, man. The Peter Yan rematch is something we've all wanted since their first fight. And if O'Malley puts Zahabi out cold on the White House lawn, hops on the mic, Petr Yan, get your ass over here, that's a hell of a fight, man. O'Malley has the potential to do something awesome here, skip the line, being Umar, essentially, and maybe Merab, and get himself a title shot if he does an impressive performance here over Zahabi. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I think it's going to be a very close, competitive fight. I think O'Malley's ultimately going to eke it out. I think this will be the most boring fight on the card, but I'm predicting Sean O'Malley will win this fight. I'm going to go unanimous decision, 29-28. Some of the rounds are close. No one's going to be saying it's a robbery. Pretty boring, pretty lackluster. Man, do I hope I'm wrong, though, because it would be a huge, huge win for Sean O'Malley if he could put Zahabi out cold. Moving on up the card. I'd never realized that these two basically have the same record. That's crazy. This is an interesting matchup, man. This is a really interesting matchup. Alex Pereira, Cyril Gane. Pereira moving up to heavyweight. He's looking a little tubby. I don't put a lot of stock into that. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference here. This is a tough one, man. This is a really tough one. I think Cyril Gane looked better than we all thought he would against Tom Aspinall, although that was not a complete fight, so it's really tough for me to have real takeaways from that matchup. I don't consider it to be much. I thought that was very competitive. Cyril Gane has always been very good, a very high-level heavyweight. I'm going with Alex Pereira to win by TKO in the round, early in the 3rd round. I think Pereira moving up, and Cyril Gane, listen, he is dynamic. We know this, but I think Pereira is going to bring a level of dynamism that Cyril Gane hasn't seen before. I think Cyril Gane's going to be in there. Cyril Gane's always been easy to be hit. I think Cyril Gane's going to go in there, dancing around, hopping around, flicking the jab out, doing Cyril Gane things, and I think Pereira's going to be stinging him. Hard low kicks to limit Cyril Gane's mobility. Left hooks, body shots. I think Pereira is going to be coming in like a bat out of hell for Cyril Gane, because let's be honest, Cyril Gane does not have a whole lot of finishing potential. I mean, he finished Tai Tuivasa barely by hitting him in the back of the head. Cyril Gane, despite his look, is not the most powerful fighter, and I think that gives, and he's not a grappling threat, realistically. And I think that gives Alex Pereira a lot of room to open up on the feet, which is where he thrives. If Pereira's moving forward, pressuring, whipping up those fast, dangerous shots, I think he's going to give Cyril Gane a lot of problems, man. I think Pereira is much more dangerous than Cyril Gane. I think he's going to be moving forward. I think those leg kicks are going to be his best friend as he chops up Cyril Gane and limits his movement. And I think ultimately lighter man skill here, man. I think Pereira will be whipping out some crazy athletic techniques despite his, average looking build at the moment. But John Jones, same situation. A tubby heavyweight, light heavyweight, moving up, gave Cyril Gane a lot of problems. So I don't know, man. I don't think Cyril Gane's got it in him. I just don't think that. I don't think he's going to be able to pull this off. I'm going with Alex Pereira. I think it's going to be competitive early on. Cyril Gane's going to be fighting his point fight style, but Pereira is going to be stacking up long-term damage. Those leg kicks are going to carry later into the fight, stalking him, body shots, head shots. I think Pereira is going to be stalking, doing real damage, while Cyril Gane is flicking around point fighting. And I think that'll stack up for him, man. I really do think that'll stack up for Pereira and it'll stack up for Gane, leading to Pereira landing something of real consequence. Left hook, head kick, some kind of major shot somewhere in like the third or fourth round. Get Cyril Gane on jelly legs, and Pereira will hunt him down and get him out of there, man. I really do. I don't think this will be much of a grappling matchup. I think if either of them try, they'll kind of counter each other because they're both kind of whatever when it comes to the grappling. The size of Cyril Gane is an interesting X factor, as is his skill. He's one of the more skilled heavyweight fighters, but I think Pereira is going to get it done, man. It's a very close matchup, but I believe Pereira is going to get this done, become the first 3-division champion in UFC history. Major props for him if he can pull that off. Although, it's not exactly. If Pereira loses this matchup, I think it's time to retire. Coming from someone who loves Pereira, but there's just no path for him after that. He's not going to want to go back down to light heavyweight. We know he's not going to want to do that. And I wouldn't want him to just be like a contender at heavyweight, I just wouldn't want that for him. So if Alex loses this, he's got to retire. If Cyril loses this, dope, fucking enjoy your Josh Hockett fight, buddy, right? Like, have fun in the middle of the division where you belong. He robbed Volkov. He cheated against Aspinall. Gane is such a dirty fighter, man. I think winner of this fight, no matter what, fights Tom, assuming Tom is okay. The Tom Gane rematch is definitely interesting, but Tom Pereira is very interesting. I think Tom has some real chance there, but if Pereira can beat Tom and be an undisputed 3-division champion, man, oh man, is that big for his legacy and big for his status in the GOAT conversation. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm going Alex Pereira, 3rd or 4th round TKO over Cyril Gane. Going to be overwhelming him with leg kicks and heavy shots until he puts him away up against the fence after landing some big shots early on the fight. Moving on, main event. Jesus Christ, man. This is just, I struggle to see a world where Justin Gaethje can pull this off. I really do. It would be so cool for Gaethje. It would be huge for him, but Gaethje is on the decline, man. We saw that in his fight against Paddy. Despite him winning, he looked like garbage. He was so sloppy. He was there for the taking, and Ilya is just a sniper with lethal power, man. I think Justin Gaethje is going to get put the fuck out by Ilya Topuria in round 1 or round 2. I think this is going to be a masterclass from Ilya. Ilya is all about finding the snipe, right? Putting out Oliveira, putting out Holloway, putting out Volk, all with technique, pinpoint shots, perfect technique. I just don't think that Justin Gaethje is going to be able to defend that, man. I think Gaethje is going to go in there and do Gaethje things, but Gaethje's always kind of left himself open. And I think he's older, he's weaker, he's more frail. I think Ilya is just going to hunt him down and put his lights out. And so does everybody. This is such a lopsided matchup. I just don't see a world in which Justin Gaethje can get this done. It's definitely not the wrestling. It's definitely not the strike. Ilya is better everywhere. 17-0, monster in his prime against a declined Gaethje, who I think is going to retire, win or lose. And it's a big opportunity. White House lawn, sure, big deal, but I don't know, man. Against Paddy, he looked like shit. He really did. He was wide open. And Paddy's just not the kind of striker that can take advantage of that. But Ilya is. Ilya can find that button, no problem. If Ilya starts marching down Gaethje, he's going to put fucking mustard on him. and Gaethje will not know what to do. Could Gaethje get a fucking fluke KO? Sure, but when's the last time Gaethje did that? He beat Fiziev twice. Cool. Hoofy just put Fiziev unconscious. Gaethje couldn't do that. Patty. Couldn't put Patty out after doing some serious damage to him. Got slept by Holloway badly. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see a way in which Justin Gaethje can pull this off. This is just such an awful stylistic matchup for Justin Gaethje. I think Ilia Topuria is going to corral Gaethje against the fence, wait for that kill shot, do damage to the body, and then fucking snipe him. KO stiff. I think Ilia Topuria is going to do something nasty to Justin Gaethje, man. I think this ain't no TKO. I think Ilia Topuria is going to do Gaethje dirty. Live on national television on the White House lawn. America be damned. Ilia Topuria is going to put absolute mustard on Justin Gaethje, end his career, and continue his crazy streak, man. 18-0 after knocking out everyone he's knocked out. He's a fucking menace. He's such a menace, man. After this, hope it's the Arman fight, but the Islam fight is always still appealing. I think win or lose, Gaethje should retire. And if Gaethje wins and then retires, I think Ilia versus Arman for the vacant belt makes sense. But let's not be silly, right? Let's not pretend like that's what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is Ilia Topuria is going to nuke Justin Gaethje's head into orbit on the White House lawn, and we all know that. So let's not pretend any otherwise. So going Ilia Topuria, man, round 1 or 2, stiff KO over Justin Gaethje. It's a great card. I'm going with all the favorites, man. I'm going with Diego, Nickel, Hoofy, Hokit, O'Malley, Pereira, and Topuria. I think Zahabi, Chandler, and Gane have the best upset chance. But it's going to be a hell of a card, man. I can't wait to see it. Let me know what you guys think below. Let me know if you agree. Looking forward to seeing how these matchups unfold. Pray for Justin Gaethje, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy and enjoy. Bye-bye.